Alright, so we're checking out the DarwinFPV TinyApe 03. So I did the original review on the analog TinyApe more than a year ago. I don't remember exactly, but the top part of the frame here looks completely different to accommodate the 03 air unit, and they've gone with these two 1.5mm vertical carbon plates here to cage in the air unit and camera. And yeah, they have some yellow TPU parts here to screw in that air unit into this frame here. It's kind of funny here, this side plates, they kind of look like a dog. If you see it from the side silhouette, and you can see the feet here. And it kind of grabs onto the bottom plate here. Same 2mm bottom plate that was on the original analog, and I believe it has the same dimensions. I don't have the that version anymore, the analog version. I think I gave it away some time ago, so can't do any kind of comparisons. They did make a walk snail version, which is kind of similar in design, with the walk snail VTX being under the top plate on that design. But they went with a completely different design here to accommodate the 03 air unit. Same motors, I believe. These are they're DarwinFPV branded, and 1103s, 8000 kV, and this is meant to run on 3S Gemfan 2.5 inch propellers, the same 2 to 3S all-in-one flight controller. We've seen this before. This came out on originally with the original Baby Ape 2.5 about a year ago, and mine did not come with the Express LRS antenna. I added this myself, and I just put it out the back here like this. I believe in the bind and fly version, the antenna comes out of this central hole here in the TPU, but I don't like my receiver antenna in between my two video transmitting antennas, so I decided to keep it out here just for better control. This is also the same board that you saw in the Fold Ape 03. You can see it there, also 2 to 3S. It's the exact same board, and I'll link that review as well down in the video description if you guys want to check it out. But basically, same motors, props, all-in-one flight controller, just a different cage for the 03 camera and 03 air unit. Now, there's a special screw here for this 03 air unit, a M1.3 hex, and I did not have that. I had to actually buy a screw head or the tool for this. So most of these M2 screws, like this one here, you can see it's a little bit bigger than this one here. They use these 1.5mm drivers, and so this is one that I've been using for a while. But this one did not fit these screws, and they did not include tool to get this to work. So I had to buy this. I'll link this in the video description. This is a 1.3mm screw head, and it's hex, and this one does work, and you'll need this to be able to screw in these special screws for the 03 air unit. Obviously, they sent me the plug-and-play version, which basically comes with everything except for the 03 air unit. It's about $130, $140, somewhere in there. It's pretty reasonable for what you get. Obviously, this is sort of aimed at the budget, minded builder. Now, the one with the 03 air unit already built in is like $450 to $500. Last I checked, very expensive, and about $100, $150 premium over the plug-and-play plus the price of an 03 air unit, which is like $230. And so basically they're telling you they don't want you to buy their version with the 03 air unit, and I'm told that if you do buy that version, you have to wait a while because they actually don't have any built. So they have a bunch of these in the plug-and-play version built, and those are ready to ship right away, but the ones with the 03 air unit are not built. They're built to order, so they'll take a little bit longer. Getting this in here is really tricky because you have to get all of the screws in as well as the TPU parts, because the screws go through the TPU, and then that holds the air unit in place so it doesn't vibrate. Very, very tricky getting this in here. It took me about 30-40 minutes of fiddling around getting in there, because you have to keep the standoffs in place here, and these have to like lock into the bottom plates. So very tricky to get all this stuff in this. So you will have to have a little bit of building experience or have a lot of patience to sort of fiddle around and just kind of like maybe do one screw at a time. The problem is that this TPU part in the back here kind of it wedges into this carbon plate here, locks in here, and it's a single piece. So this is the one that gave me the most trouble. Once I got this into place, then these two were a little bit easier. Now, as I mentioned, they did forget to include the Express LRS antenna for whatever reason, so I had to get that myself. That's a micro FL connector here for that, so you have to use a 2.4 gigahertz antenna for that. Obviously, if you don't have it on there, your range is going to be very limited. You're probably going to fly maybe 10-20 meters away and probably crash, so that's not going to be fun. So you're going to need that. I'm not sure if that was just a first batch problem. Probably, maybe by the time you watch this later, that'll be resolved. The second problem that I encountered was that there was an error in the configuration. The motor poles number was set to 14, which is basically the default number for bigger, like 5-inch motors. But these 1103 motors have 12 motor poles. So you do have to change that. Otherwise, there's some ambiguity about this, I guess, or debate about it. It can be as bad as causing an ESC fire or motor melting, or basically just flying very roughly. So I did fix that to avoid any potential fires. So that's like sort of a mistake that they made out of the factory. The PIDs on here seemed like they were, I don't know, copied from something else. And when I flew it, it did not fly well at all. I'm not really sure what was going on. It seemed like the PIDs were just way, way too low for the setup I was running. I was running this with the 3S550. Maybe they were trying to go with a bigger battery, like a 3S650 or 850. I don't know. It was a bit windy the day I flew this, but there just seemed like there was something really, really wrong with the PID tune, and it was very hard to control. Even though there was some wind, super hard to control. And you see that in the unstabilized footage. It was just basically kind of rocking around a lot. In some instances, it didn't seem like it was getting pushed by wind, but it was just not staying steady. Now, ironically, the gyro flow footage looks pretty good, like relatively speaking, compared to the unstabilized footage. You guys can look at the two, and it's kind of hilarious how bad the non-stabilized footage looks like compared to the gyro flow footage, which is actually kind of amazing. But be aware that if there's any vibrations that come through the props, motors, and through the strings, everything's hard mounted here. The camera is hard mounted as well, and those vibrations will affect the gyro performance or the gyro data. And if it gets messed up from the vibrations, then your stabilization gets messed up. So I have a feeling is that they reduced the PIDs on this so that there would be no vibrations getting to the camera, so that the gyro flow footage would look good. But from a pilot standpoint, a flyability standpoint, it was very poor, very difficult to handle, and obviously wind doesn't help. But yeah, I think that even in calm conditions, it just would not, I don't think it would fly that great either. And I think that they did that because they were concerned that there might be vibrations going into the camera. I may need to do some PID tuning on this one and fly it with a regular PID tune and see if vibrations affect the gyro flow footage. If that's something that interests you, if you're really, really, really wanting to get this model, let me know down in the comments below. And if I find that there is enough interest in that, I might further pursue this. Otherwise, I'm going to probably just shelve this and rip the O3 area out of this and put it into something else, because as it stands now, just not flyable. And while you do get good results out of the 4K camera, I feel it's a little bit too hard to fly for my taste. Now, obviously, they built this to kind of, replicate what you saw earlier in the Savage Bee, which is a 2S setup here. And obviously, people complain that this is just going to break on any crash, and that's, of course, probably true. This is a lot lighter, but much less robust in terms of durability. This is going to be a little bit more durable because it's got carbon plates here, so going to probably hold up a little bit better in a crash, but it's going to weigh a little bit more. But of course, you know, for those of you guys that are into the tank frames and want to survive lots of hard abuse, I would recommend getting this one instead. This is the Avion RC. This is the Icon 2.5. So if you're looking for a 2.5 inch with the O3 air unit in a much more durable frame, this is the one to get. And I'll link this video as well as the Savage V build video. And you can, you know, there's a lot of options out there. So, you know, if you don't like this one, there's other options out there. It's kind of funny. I've had the same guy complain to me about this one and this one. I'm like, well, what are you looking for? You don't want anything light and you don't want anything heavy. So tell me what you're looking for. And I didn't get any response. But anyway, here's what this weighs, no battery. And it's 91.1 grams, a little bit heavier than what was advertised. This is the DarwinFPV 3S 550. This is the new lava lipos. And this one is coming in at 134.7. So this combo here is well under the 250 gram limit. And then, so this is 991, and I don't remember what this one weighs. Let's go ahead and put it on here. I think this is less, 81.8, so it's like 10 grams lighter, but way more fragile. And then for you tank guys, we've got the Icon, that's 138.1. I think this is a 4S setup, so a totally different setup compared to the other two. 2S, 3S here for the TinyApe, and then 4S for the Icon. Anyway, yeah, here's a look at the bottom. You know, USB port, micro USB on the bottom there. You got a bunch of rubber bands to hold the battery in place, so, and a little battery pad on the bottom here. So, and this is the way it looks in the back. Again, this plug here is soldered onto the main board. The S-bus connections are clipped off, so if you're wanting to fly this with the DJI RC2, you're going to have to resolder that onto the flight controller board and probably change some configuration settings to get that to work. The ELRS receiver in here is SPI because this is a pretty old board. I know a lot of the companies have gone away for that, but this one is been around for a while. I don't know how many different versions there are. I've been told, or I've heard that even though the name hasn't changed and the board basically looks the same, the layout is all the same, I think the gyros changed 2 times since this board first came out. And I'm not sure if the ESCs have changed, but I believe they're still the same, like 15 amp, and they have really old Blue Jay firmware on there, like 0.14. So that may also contribute to some of the PID issues here. May have to update that as well. Just a lot of stuff. Just, you know, this board's been around forever. So like, I think this has probably gone through a few iterations. Of course, if you want to know specifically what's changed in the different versions that are out there, I think you're going to have to ask DarwinFPV directly because I don't really know exactly. As far as I can tell, the boards look the same, but I've heard that there's been a few different versions, iterations over time, as parts have changed over time. So this board may not be the exact same board that was in the Fold Ape 03, and then it may not be the exact same board that was in the original TinyApe analog version from like a year ago. You know, if you want to see the performance of this on this setup here, 4-inch setup on 3S, you know, check out that video. I thought it flew pretty good on this setup here, 4-inch folding props on a 3S battery. Compared to this flew really, really poorly compared to the Fold Ape. So I was very surprised by how poorly this one flew out of the box. I'm not sure if it was a hardware problem or just they deliberately lowered the PIDs because of vibration concerns. Again, that's my speculation. You'll have to ask them. But as I said, you know, what you see is what you get here on the channel. I just, you know, go and fly it, tell you how I feel it performed, and just report the results, and that's it. So links to everything I mentioned, all the other videos, the full flights in 4K will also be linked down in the video description as well. And let me know what your comments are down in the comment section below. Talk to you guys in the next one.